Witchers are created by mutations. There's a formula and a process that has some success with producing new ones. There are, however, some that think that they can improve this mutation process to make Witchers better. In the time when around the order of the Witchers fell, groups started to go off to create their own school, one by one. The first group were the Bears, and the second group snuck out in the middle of the night with some stolen mutations from Castle Morcraig. They headed south to create a new school of Witchers, the School of the Cat. They made their home in Stega Castle, where they sought to improve the creation of new Witchers. They wanted to completely eliminate all feelings and emotions from them. And it is here where Gezras of Leyda comes into the picture. Gezras was born a half-elf, and was thus looked down upon by humans who saw him as a freak. Because of this, Gezras was sold off to the mages in Stega Castle, as his family wanted to rid themselves of him. On a side note, of Leda, his last name, is probably something like Geralt of Rivia, a name meant to make you seem more trustworthy, as Leda lies in Cadwyn, and Stega Castle lies in Ebbing, which are pretty far apart, so presumably Gezras came from somewhere around Ebbing. Gezras was among the first to undergo the new mutations that the mages had worked on for the School of the Cat. However, not all went as planned. Gezras barely survived the mutations, and was dumped amidst the corpses of those who passed away in the process. The mages didn't care that he was still alive, they probably just saw him as a failure, a failed mutation to be experimented on. The mutations didn't eliminate his feelings, however. In fact, they only made them stronger. After having crawled out of a pile of bodies he was dumped in, Gezras went back to the castle to rescue all his brothers, who would most likely be discarded just like him come the next day. They left in the dark of night, away from Stega Castle, away from the mages that had created them and saw them as failures. But now, without a home, the Cat Witchers had to go somewhere else, which is where the half-elf part of Gezras came in, as he took them to the unhinged elves. The elves helped the Witchers to hide from the mages who sought to destroy them, while Gezras and his Witchers in turn helped the elves with assassinations and guerrilla warfare. Under the elves, the Cat Witchers gained strength in numbers, until it was time for them to strike. The desire for vengeance was ever present in Gezras, as he wanted to make the mages pay for what they did to him. And so, in the dark of night, the Witchers once again went to Stega Castle, where they slaughtered all the mages in their sleep. Gezras and his fellow Witchers were finally free of those who sought to kill them because they were dead, and now they went north. The Cat Witchers, however, didn't have a specific home. Instead, they traveled around in a caravan that became known as Dean Marv, the Dead Folk. They not only created their own Witchers, who like Gezras and the others could feel more and were a bit unhinged, but they also took in rejects and failed Witchers from other schools. The Cat Witchers were looked down upon by other schools due to their failed mutations and the often atrocious behavior they showed. Examples of this can be found in Brayhan, who almost started killing people because he was afraid to get his contract and in the past had massacred in the village. Or Gaten, who killed an entire village out of rage after they stabbed him in the back only to be stopped by the memory of a loved one. You can see how these emotions affect these Witchers. But every Witcher school at some point was met by opposition, and this included the School of the Cats, who were probably responsible for a lot of the awful stories people heard about Witchers to begin with. The caravan was attacked, a few Witchers died, some survived, and the fate of the Cat Witcher, Schrödinger, was unknown. What however also is not known is the current state of Gezras of Leda. We don't know if he is alive or dead, but if he still lives, he is presumably around 200 to 272 years old during The Witcher 3. Gezras often worked with the elves against the humans. He is the link the mage sought in the elven origins of the Catskill Witchers when he tortured Kian. He and his fellow cats, unhinged and overly emotional, as they created a sense of fear around witchers, for you never know when one might murder your entire village because you looked at them the wrong way. That was it for Gezras of Leyda. Till the next video. Bye.